What's up, everybody? Caster Crashcourse here, and today we're going to talk about Genji. So this is the rival deck to Heishi, and where Heishi thrive in their ability to dodge around your opponent's cards, this deck focuses more on answering them and then pushing through while generating advantage. So let's go ahead and get into the list. So starting off, we have 4 Tokiwa. She is our vanilla beat stick for the deck as a 1-drop, and she also is a Genji. Unlike most 1-drops, you basically want to see one of her and then none of the rest for the rest of the game due to another card that's in the deck that we'll get into. But I mean, she's a turn 1 play, good card all around. Up next we have 2 Masako. Masako her effect is real strong to rest a blocker that's impeding your progress, but her stats are kind of weak, and so we don't want to see a whole lot of her, so we're running 2. Up next we have the best card in the deck, Tomoe. So her ability to search out literally any 4 Genji that you want out of your whole deck and stack them on top is just real good, and it makes the deck thrive in a way that no other deck really can right now, and that you can immediately search all your answers and then get them on the following turn with another card that I have in the deck that we'll get to in a second, which is the main combo of the deck. Next we have 3 Yoshinaka. Yoshinaka is a good body that also, when she dies, gets you a servant back from your graveyard. So she's recursion, and depending on what you already have in your graveyard, your opponent probably won't want to answer this card immediately, and you can get some good damage in with her while also generating advantage. So up next we have 2 Yoshitsune. Similar to Masako in that they both focus on changing your battle positions of your opponent's monsters. Yoshitsune does it better, but Masako is still good for early game. Next we have our first non-Genji of the deck. We have 2 Toxic Turkey. We're only playing 2 in this deck because we do a lot of deck thinning, so our chances of seeing it are a little bit higher. So, I mean, it's still just an excellent card. Up next we have 2 Hard Pancake. We're playing 2 in this deck because Yoshitsune does the same thing, or Yoshinaka, excuse me. She does the same thing for less, and she gets more damage in. Plus we're playing other breaks, so we're only playing 2 Pancake. Up next we have another break for Firewheel. It's walking removal that can come in for free. It's in our colors, no reason not to play it. Real strong card. Next we have the other best card in the deck, Yoshitomo. So this is the combo with Tomoe, where you use Tomoe on turn 2 to stack your deck with Yoshitomo and 3 other Genjis, that whatever you need for that part of the game, or whatever is based on what's in your hand. And then next turn you use the coin to generate 4 mana instead of 3, and you play Yoshitomo, and essentially for that turn you drew 4, possibly 5 instead of 1, and that just makes this deck real strong. Also, her 3000 attack is real nice. Up next we have 1 Yoritomo. Yoritomo is another card that generates free advantage, because when she comes into play, you search out 2 Tokiwas and put them into play for free. That's why we only want to see 1 Tokiwa early game, so that we can guarantee getting off our Yoritomo. If you don't get it off, it's not the end of the world. It's not the defining play of the deck, but it's still good enough, so we're playing her at a 1-of, since you can stack her with Yoshitomo and Tomoe. Up next we have our spells. We're playing 4 Raging Flame Counterattack. If you're playing red, there's no reason not to run this card. It says pay 2 mana to answer target threat, and yeah, I mean, it's quick cast, all around a really good card. Up next we're playing 2 Be Born Again as a caster. This deck does have a lot of removal answers, But for threats such as soul bonds, we're playing this because it removes them without... Oh, and for other last words threats, it removes them from the table without having to worry about the threat, and giving your opponent 1 extra mana may or probably won't be an issue depending on what part of the game you're in. So we're playing that instead of Total Eclipse in this deck. Up next we have our casters. Starting off we have 2 Orschline. She says banish a Genji, draw a card. I mean, if you're about to lose a guy anyway, you might as well draw a card off of it instead of just going negative. And then we have 1 Clara Shire. Being able to reverse an enemy servant is real good, especially in the mirror versus, well, not the mirror, but the matchup between Genji and Heishi. Being able to reverse big beaters on their side that have 0 defense and just answer them on your next turn is a really good ability, and I like her a lot. Up next we're playing 1 Cestria. Cestria answers all casters your opponent's controls. If they're trying to get effects off instead of using them for mana, you can just kind of tap her and tap down their guy, and you've saved yourself from having to deal with a really frustrating ability. Plus, you don't have to discard a caster for her effect, which is awesome. Next, we have a Sherry. You draw a card if you put a guy in defense mode or back into a stand-up mode. So, strong card. Next, we have 1 Trigger Heather. We're only playing 1 in this deck because we're not so much focusing on ability removal and more so on beatdown removal, but sometimes you still have some ability removal, like with Raging Flame Counterattack, where you can just go ahead and get a free draw off of that. So that's nice. Next, we're playing 2 Gentry Gold. Being able to mill Genji off the top of your deck into your hand is a really good ability. Also, if you stacked with Tomoe, but you, for whatever reason, don't have the Yoshitomo, you're guaranteeing yourself extra draws every turn with Gentry. So, yeah, good card. Next, we have 2 Sunny. Sunny is probably still the best caster in orange. You can tap her to draw if your opponent discarded a card, which you can force in a lot of decks. And in this case, if your opponent tries to discard to activate a caster ability, you can punish them by drawing a card off of it. It makes you go plus while they go minus. Really good. Moving on to red, we have 1 Crimson Nicola. I like Crimson Nicola because she combos with Yoritomo, in that you can, when you get the 2 Tomoes, or whatever this card's called, Tokiwas into play for free off of her effect, you can tap her to draw an extra card. Not bad considering the fact that you're getting 3 cards for the price of 1. Might as well make it 4. Next we have 2 Shara Angelica. Angelica is another really strong card in red, in that since you're trying to push for game anyway by breaking your opponent's orbs, you might as well draw cards off of breaking orbs, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to. Next we have 2 Risa. You want to pump your Genji so you can get over threats your opponent has, and this is the quickest way to do it. Unlike a lot of the boosters from set 1, you don't have to worry about having to discard casters or put cards back in your hand or have it be situational. She just tap 1,000, so yeah. And then we have 2 Flame Rouge. Similar to the Shara Angelica, you're trying to do a lot of removal in this game by beating over your opponent's monsters with this deck, and she lets you capitalize on that by gaining advantage off of already destroying your opponent's monsters. So yeah. And lastly, we're playing 1 Nadeshiko. And this is basically just for color fixing. We're not playing 2 like in Heishi because we don't play green anyway, so a lot of them isn't super helpful. But the 1 of for color fixing is nice, and that's good enough for me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.